Some folks seem pretty upset over this Connecticut Sun sale situation. I can't say I am one of those folks that is pissed off about it, but here is some of the reaction that you've seen. Senator Richard Blumenthal, WNBA put a full court press on blocking the Sun from staying in Connecticut. Deeply harmful to fans that live and breathe basketball. DOJ should investigate and stop such anti-competitive interference. Look, let's unpack this for a second, right? So the Connecticut Sun, we're going to be sold to one of the owners of the Celtics, right? Like, that was
DeWanna Bonner didn't just hear the update. She felt the impact immediately. The Connecticut Sun, a team she has given everything to, suddenly looked like it was being handled like a disposable asset, while the league shut down what many believed was the one opportunity that could have changed everything. This went far beyond a simple ownership shift. It felt like a direct dismissal of the momentum building around players like Caitlin Clark. From Bonner's perspective, the league office didn't just decline a deal. It actively blocked a major opportunity that would have kept the team rooted in its current market. This wasn't viewed as strategy. To many, it came off as a direct insult to the fans and players who built the franchise from nothing.
Let's unpack this for a second, right? So the Connecticut Sun, we're going to be sold to one of the owners of the Celtics, right? Like, that was agreed to. And that I get. Like, Boston, WNBA team, Boston sports fans, region remains the same, even if it's a different location. Like, I understand, I guess, being pissed that didn't go down. As far as the Connecticut Sun themselves, I don't think that team had much juice relative to the rest of the league. Let's just be real about it. It was not a destination.
Now picture this, a massive $325 million offer sitting there, ready to elevate the entire organization. One of the Boston Celtics ownership figures was prepared to step in and transform the Sun into a powerhouse within a major sports city. For Bonner and the roster, this wasn't just business. It was a chance to finally step onto a bigger stage with real visibility and resources. But instead of moving forward, the league shut it down with a firm rejection. The reasoning? They claimed it was an attempt to bypass the established process. Meanwhile, supporters in the region were already there, eager for a more modern experience that actually reflects the level of talent on the court.
It was not a destination. It was not one of those teams, if you're another team, you get excited about playing, you're circling on the calendar. And the facilities were not up to par. They're sharing courts for kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. And in this new CBA, that's part of it, is making sure all the facilities are up to par. So just keeping it status quo, I get why that wasn't the case. Just even moving, somewhere in Connecticut, Hartford was another suggestion, but with the ownership change could have been the upgrades. So that's one argument.
Behind the scenes, the situation in Connecticut has reportedly been far from ideal for a professional team in today's era. While other franchises are upgrading facilities and investing in growth, the Sun are still dealing with conditions that feel outdated. Sharing practice space in environments not fully dedicated to elite athletes makes it difficult to present a high-level future to incoming talent. Imagine trying to recruit the next generation while working around non-professional limitations. It doesn't exactly inspire confidence. This is exactly why longtime players are frustrated. They're witnessing the surge of attention brought on by the Caitlin Clark effect, yet they remain in a setup that feels far below professional expectations.
Putting in that bid. But you can see the other side of it as well if you're, I think, fairly looking at it. The WNBA's case would be that they tried to skip the line, more or less. That's essentially what they said. Sun ownership, however, initially reached a deal last summer to sell the team for a record $325 million, which, by the way, needs to be appreciated. I think that the price here is $300 million to go to Houston, to relaunch the Comets, which I haven't even mentioned up until this point. And there's some history there, of course. But just the fact that the Connecticut Sun are selling for upwards of...
Instead of moving toward what could have been a Boston-based expansion, the league appears to be shifting focus toward a $300 million revival of the Houston Comets. And to some, That decision feels less about growth and more about familiar ownership circles getting another opportunity. The Fertitta family is now at the center of that conversation. While Houston undeniably has a rich basketball history, the move is being viewed by many Connecticut supporters as a complete disregard for their loyalty. For players like Bonner, watching their team's future redirected elsewhere, while their current market is left behind, doesn't sit well. In a time where the league is evolving, this choice raises serious questions.
Which I haven't even mentioned up until this point. And there's some history there, of course. But just the fact that the Connecticut Sun are selling for upwards of $300 million is one of the surest signs of growth of the league that there's been, right? Like, I think they might have been bought for $10 million or something along those lines. That's an explosive growth. And it's one of the arguments I made going into the CBA as to how you can say, where the trajectory of the WNBA is headed beyond just simple revenue, net revenue, game in, game out.
What really shows how serious things have become is the level of outside attention this situation is getting. Even political figures have stepped in, which says a lot. Senator Richard Blumenthal has publicly spoken out, pushing for action to prevent the team from being removed from Connecticut. He even went as far as suggesting that federal authorities should look into whether there's any anti-competitive behavior involved. When government officials start getting involved in decisions about a basketball franchise, it's clear this has gone far beyond sports. At that point, it's not just controversy, it's a full-blown conflict.
That have put bids in, that have gotten rewarded for doing so. WNBA effectively blocked the deal from progressing, holding firm that relocation decisions are made by the WNBA Board of Governors and not by individual teams, and that cities have already gone through the expansion process, which included Houston. Those cities have priority over Boston. And we know we're getting Cleveland. We know we're getting Philadelphia. Obviously, the tempo, Toronto and Portland are entering this year, and now you're going back to Houston. Now the cynic could say it's the Fertitta family, right? And the NBA rewarding one of its own because...
From the league's perspective, their stance is simple. Every city and ownership group has to follow the official expansion process. They argue that Boston didn't meet those requirements, while cities like Houston, Toronto, and Portland have already gone through the proper steps. But from the players' point of view, this explanation feels like a convenient way to block something that could have immediately elevated the league. To them, it looks like a missed opportunity to build a high-level team in a major market. Instead, they're being told that timing and structure matter more than actual momentum. And that creates frustration, because it feels like prioritizing a long-term plan over a real opportunity happening right now.
Priority over Boston. And we know we're getting Cleveland. We know we're getting Philadelphia. Obviously, the tempo, Toronto and Portland are entering this year. And now you're going back to Houston. Now the cynic could say it's the Fertitta family, right? And the NBA rewarding one of its own because of the Houston Rockets connection. The Sun will play one more season in Connecticut before relocating in 2027. So I sit on the side of, I understand why the Sun are being moved. I understand why this is happening.
To really understand the frustration, you have to look at the numbers behind all of this. The Connecticut Sun were originally purchased for what now seems like a relatively small amount, around $10 million. Fast forward to today, and the franchise is being valued at over $30 million. That kind of growth didn't happen by accident. It came from years of effort, commitment, and players pushing through difficult seasons to build something meaningful. Now, with the Caitlin Clark era bringing in more attention and revenue than ever before, the financial stakes are higher. But here's the issue. While the value keeps rising, the players feel like they have no say in who benefits from that success. And that's where the tension really starts to build. Now take a step back and really think about where all of this is heading. Because this isn't just about one team, one decision, or one rejected deal. It's about the direction of the entire league moving forward. Right now, the WNBA is sitting in a moment of real opportunity. The attention is higher than it has ever been. New fans are coming in. Ratings are climbing. Conversations are happening daily. And a huge part of that momentum is tied to the visibility brought by players like Caitlin Clark, who have helped push the game into spaces it wasn't reaching before. But here's the concern. What happens when the decisions being made don't match the moment? When fans see growth on the outside, but resistance behind the scenes? That disconnect is what people are starting to notice. Because from a viewer's perspective, it feels like the league has a chance to capitalize on something special, yet instead of accelerating forward, it's slowing things down with process, structure, and hesitation. And while those things are important, timing matters just as much. For the players, this isn't just business, it's their careers. It's their window. Opportunities like this don't last forever. When a major offer comes in that could improve facilities, expand reach, and elevate visibility, it's not just about ownership. It's about what that means for everyone involved. Better resources, bigger platforms, stronger fan engagement. All of those things directly impact how the game grows and how the players are seen. And then there's the fans. The ones who show up, who watch, who invest their time and energy into supporting these teams. They can see when something doesn't make sense. They can feel when momentum is being stalled. And right now, a lot of them are asking the same question. Why turn down something that could have pushed the league forward right now? At the end of the day, this moment feels bigger than just a decision. It feels like a test. A test of whether the league is ready to fully embrace the growth happening around it, or whether it's going to stick to a slower path that risks missing the peak of its own momentum. Because opportunities like this don't come around often. And when they do, how you respond can define the future. Now the real question is this. Is the league protecting its future? Or is it missing a massive opportunity right in front of it? Because from the outside, this doesn't look like growth. It looks like a turning point. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over.